Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today we're looking at Baby Audio's synth Atoms, and everything you just heard came from this synth. Now, in the interest of showing more sounds than explaining, I'm going to be composing while I explain what the synth does, so that you get sort of a hands-on vibe that's hopefully a little less monologue-y and a little more music-y. So to start off, it's a spring mass system modeled synth. Things like violins that require a bow to strike them, and then the entire body of the violin resonates, creating the sound. That's kind of a spring mass system. You can picture a metal rod, and then you apply a bow to it. It's going to cause vibrations down that rod according to the properties of the rod. So each of these things controls some part of that process, and there are 4 different versions of this process that have been modeled down here in the profile section. So you pick a process to start with, and then you just adjust the parameters to get closer to the type of sound that you want. There are a bunch of cool presets. So here's the first one. When you open it up right now, it's the first one. Yeah. And if we come down, here's a bass. We'll start with keys. Here we go. Some leads, pads, plucks, and pulsing. Now, to get a direction like, say you want something pulsing, probably going to have a lot of modulation going on that's very rhythmic. You want to pluck, make the damping factor very low. So a spring mass system is going to have a damping factor. That's how quickly it stops oscillating, or stops resonating. So you're not going to see things like sustain. You'll see things like release and this mention of a figurative bow, so to speak. If you were to hover over, for example, the movement, you can see here references to the way this bow would behave. So let's start out with the bowed steel patch and get something rocking and rolling. And let's talk about how to get these sounds a little more directional, because it seems a little weird. Normally you have oscillators and envelopes, but here instead you have a process and then like parameters that control aspects of that process. It's actually pretty hard to make something bad with this because it's been modeled like this. Yeah, pretty much any combo of knobs is going to sound good in some kind of way. It's just knowing how to push the knobs in the direction you want to go. So let's say that I don't want to start with the pad. Let's say I want to start with the pluck. So if I want a pluck sound, all we got to do is bring the release down, bring the attack up, because that's the defining traits of a pluck. And there you go. We got ourselves a pluck. And let's write in just a quick line here, and we'll put down sort of this I'm pretty slow. I'm at 60 beats a minute. And we'll have it be a 1 measure thing that sort of outlines a C minor chord. We'll have it pretty soft. And there are these different parameters. So chaos and order, if you hover over them, they'll tell you what they do. So like order has to do with like high frequency stuff. Chaos has to do with sort of pitch drift and things is what I tend to think of. So I'm going to bring the sine off. I don't want any of the sine wave motion. And let's just bring this down. Notice that these two are linked, by the way. We'll bring the MPE off as well. I'm bringing this down. And we will take the force, bring that down. This is on drift. We'll take this off for now. And let's just hear what that does. If we have the force up higher, a little more plucky of a sound, you can imagine this is like the initial strike of the bow on the spring mass system. Let's try out one of the different profiles. Here's lo-fi, inharmonic, standard. And we have a filter. Let's go ahead, let's bring the filter in. And maybe bring down the spaces touch. And let's maybe bring these down. Or you know what? Let's keep it high. Let's keep it high. Let's grab another one. So I'm going to go ahead and just clone this. And let's go for a preset this time. This time, let's look for something like, let's go for a pad. I like this pad right here. It's a nice sound. Melancholic Matters. Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and just write in some lines with this. A chord progression. Let's actually do this on a separate pattern. Maybe some sort of a C7 type deal. these notes sustain over. Let's layer this in and just hear it. Let's just bring these both down and mix them to taste. Let's clone the pads and create a, pads number 2. Perfect. We'll assign this to its own channel, its own track. And we'll do it in the same parameter as that, because the same pattern as that, because it just sort of makes sense. Let's pick an ambient patch for this one. So I've got this mothership patch, which sort of has a very cello-ish vibe to it. I really like it. Let's try bringing the force down, the chaos way up, just so we get that extra motion. Maybe the order up too. Oh yeah, bringing the overtones down. All right, cool. That's pretty nice. Also, by the way, this happens to me every now and then. If the sound just keeps ringing, the panic button is this little button up here. Yeah, the first time I was looking for it, I was like, where is it? Where is it? And there's 2 color schemes, by the way. It's pretty nice. I am a dark theme person. I think a lot of people are. But the white theme is pretty sick, too. All right, so let's just have it be like a low C. Layered in there. To add interest, let's go ahead and have the filter move quite a bit more. So for this, I'm going to not use MPE since I don't have that. So you have a saw, a sine, and a drift. Let's just go ahead and use drift and give it a lot more depth and sort of move this down and give it a little more reach. If you're familiar with the other plugins from Baby Audio, this is a very similar system. Specifically, Transit is what comes to mind. Let's also have the overtones have some drift. So we'll set a depth here. Now there are these different modes. So there's a free running. Let's go for the sync. So there's retrigger and then there's a hold mode, which will stop after 1 iteration. We'll just go for the retrigger so that it sort of syncs up with what we're doing. And if we're going to do retrigger, should we have it be a sine wave? Nah, let's just have it be whatever. So if we play now, we see it moving. We'll add some resonance here. That's what this little button here does. And let's have the saw wave on here increase in force over time. And we'll have the drive follow that with the saw. We want this to sync up. And right now it's at a sync of 2 bars. Let's increase that to 4 so it takes the entire time. And so the depth's right here on the side. And we'll have it in retrigger mode as well so that it actually locks up with what we're doing here. And you can see them sort of moving along. The retrigger mode, if you play like a bunch of notes, you can see each individual one is like a separate line. And I don't know why, but this brings so much joy to me. It's such a clever idea too. It looks cool as heck. I really like that. It's a small thing that doesn't really matter, but it's freaking cool. So there you go. We got our bass sound. So we got to develop this a little further. So let's keep this going as sort of a pedal point idea, and we will keep our bass over here. We'll continue to hit a C, but this time we'll hit a different chord, maybe like an F minor. Let's do an F minor thing. Let's clone this again. And this time, let's bring in 2 layers. We'll bring in another atmosphere / pad. So maybe look through some of the presets, and we'll bring in some kind of a lead on top just as like to thicken things up. As usual, we need to assign this to a new track, hit yes, so that we got our own thing. I'm fine with it being called pad 3. Let's look for a pad or a ambient patch. Oh man, I like that one. You know what? Let's also use the default patch. Okay, so we'll put this in here. We'll put it as a C and an F. There'll just be two notes, right? Just 2. We'll clone this. We will assign it its own track. And I'm just hitting A when that menu's open, by the way. And this one's already on the bowed steel just to borrow from the previous thing. And if we're going to go F, we need an A flat. Let's have it hit a higher F. And we'll have it hit a lower F on the second hit. And we'll give it we need FA and a C. We have all these ingredients. They're split across two things, which I think will work fine. And let's look for a lead. Let's just add all the things before we try something. So we'll clone this. We'll add it to its own thing. That's fine. And in this one, we will go for a lead. I think this broken flute's what we're looking for. It's very strange. What's atomic flute? Oh, that's really nice too. I like broken flute. Let's go with broken flute. Seems like it's got a lot going on. What would the different profiles sound like? Oh my word, we might need that. In harmonic. Standard. Oh, that's got a way cooler start. In harmonic. This is lo-fi. Okay, we're going with the inharmonic model. That one won me over. All right, so you can see kind of how quick it is to sort of just try a few things out, see if we can get a cooler sound, and I think we might verb this out. We'll have this match the two highest notes, and we'll have its space be pretty, we'll put it in the fourth quadrant. Or this is technically quadrant 1. I don't know why I'm thinking of this as quadrant 1, but whatever, we'll put it up there. So that's a lot. There's a lot of reverb. So you get that. That's it, just a bunch of reverb. All right, let's hear it with the chord change. We'll start it over here when this comes in. Oh my gosh, that sounds so flipping cool. I want to end it here because I don't want this video to be too long. Because man, we could start a whole new section. We could bring in some drums. We could get orchestral here. I really think this synth lends itself so well to cinematic moments because it's physical modeled. So it's got like a lot of natural motion. Let's just end it on a big bass note. So let's take this bass note down here and just put it down an octave and just let it ring for like 2 measures. Yeah, how does that work out? Yeah. So I think I'm going to call it right there. There's a lot of additional things, but hopefully this gives you a pretty good look at sort of how easy it is to work with. You don't need to be an expert. I think just about any combination of knobs, honestly, can actually sound pretty cool. And how you can easily get, sort of your more traditional sounds, but some of these really cool organic moving pads. So let's give this a quick listen.